Hello, students. Hi, this is Dr. Baltz. I will be your instructor for this advanced pathophysiology course this quarter. This is our welcome meeting and a little bit of a course overview. This is our agenda here. We will talk about the assignments, the exams, because that's where your grade's at. Talk a little bit about communication methods and scholarly writing. So my preferred communication method is the Canvas inbox. And I think that's because I have Canvas opened up quite a bit so I can grade your assignments as they come in. And so I see the Canvas inbox all the time. Now that said, I will answer my Nancy.Baltz Walden email, very much so, but I do prefer this Canvas inbox. A couple of course policies that I want to go over real quickly with you is that remember, and it's for all Walden courses, is that all assignments must be completed. And by that, I mean all assignments must be turned in. So what happens is, and this happens to me about once a quarter. I do have to track that, so I will let you know if assignment is missing. But if all assignments aren't completed, your course grade will end up being an incomplete. Now, that doesn't mean that you're failing the course, but that means you can't move on to the next course, especially a practicum course. So I do send out some reminders, but it is kind of up to you to keep up with that. The most common assignment that students don't think they need to submit, get confused about, is week 10, assignment 2. I have a couple of announcements to help you with that, and we can talk about that later. And then this next policy I want you to remember is that for Walden, the official time is Central Time, and that's very important for week 1, the discussion board. And remember, the discussion board is due on Saturday. It's the only assignment that's that way. So after you get over this hurdle for this week, you'll remember. This is the assignment layout that we have. And look at this tiny little box, but it talks about everything that you and I are going to do this next 10 weeks. The most important thing on this slide is your exam points and how much the exams are worth. As you can see, exams are worth 50% of your grade. And that is pretty common in my other courses that I teach as well. And what I see from this students is that for the discussion boards, students seem fairly happy with an 85 or a 90 on their discussion. They're pretty happy with an 80 on their quizzes. Their mind maps, they do pretty well on that. They got some case studies, and then comes the midterm, and they forget they've had to study because this is a lot deeper information, and their grade will drastically drop, and it just doesn't come to mind. So I want to remind you right now that from week 1 onward, you need to start studying your textbook, making your study guide, and reading your study guide multiple times. Remember, this is an advanced pathophysiology class. Advanced, by what I mean is it's a lot more in depth, a lot more detail, and pathophysiology. So just that is a lot of detail. So a little bit about the exams, and here it says it again, exams are 50% of your grade. Exams will have 100 questions. There'll be multiple choice, no short answer. And then look at here. We have 2.5 hours to complete the exam. Isn't that wonderful? So a little bit about the individual exams. Midterm exam, it covers materials 1 through 6. The final exam covers material 7 through 11. And the final exam in this wonderful, it's not comprehensive. So that's good. Then you have an opportunity to get some points from your quizzes. And the quizzes, consider those pre-exams. So by this, I mean, if your score is less than 8 on the exam, on the quizzes, that means that you need to probably study more in depth, refine your study guide, add information to your study guide and study some more time. The other way to help with your quiz grade is to study during the week, Monday through Friday, and make your study guide, read your study guide, and take your quiz on Saturday or Sunday. Okay, then we have, in this class, we have 4 case study analysis, and this is also worth 15% of your grade. This is a formal paper, and not me, Walden has created a template for you. It's a great template with all the APA formatting and tips and pointers. I'll show you that in just a minute. And this paper is a short paper. It's only 1 or 2 pages, but it is done in scholarly format. No bullet points. It's done in paragraphs. So let me show this to you. So this is, make sure that's showing up. It is. This is this MSN template that I'm talking about, and I have attached it to, I think, all the case studies to help you find it easier. But it has a lot of information in it, and it kind of spells things out. And then look at here at the bottom, it even has how to format the references, and then on here, information about resources that are not acceptable. So I think that'll help you as well. Let me drop that down. There you go. A little bit more about the case study analysis. So a little bit about references. We want you to use scholarly references, and that is journal articles, most likely found at the Walden University Library, because that's where you have access to, and it needs to be less than 5 years old. So if you think about it, that is very timely research, and that is what is required for all journal articles. So what about literature that's not accepted? So this would be the textbook. It's not accepted. The lectorial videos, Medscape, Wikipedia, anything over 5 years old. If you're concerned about a reference you want to use, just reach out to me. I'm glad to help you look at that and make a decision. Oh, sorry. One thing I wanted to bring to your attention is about plagiarism. And this information is from the Walden Student Handbook. And plagiarism is the use of intellectual material produced by another person, or in your case, an author, without acknowledging its source. So that means not using question marks or in-text citations. So I will tell you, we have an Office of Academic Integrity, and I've had a couple of students last semester that wrote their whole paper just like it was theirs. Absolutely no in-text citations, and the Office of Academic Integrity lowered their overall grade by 50%. So you don't want that. So again, use that MSN template because it's going to help you, keep your grade that you have worked hard on. So overt plagiarism, this is like copy and pasting directly, word for word. So that's just like just copying. Passive plagiarism is missing the in-text citations or kind of paraphrasing, but not enough paraphrasing. So one way, and I know you're familiar with this, that we at Walden can kind of grade the paper for plagiarism is this Turnitin. And this is my little abbreviation, Turnitin. So for this class, your Turnitin draft score needs to be less than 25%. Now, I will stop and tell you that there's a Turnitin draft score, and then when you finally submit the paper to the assignment, for some reason, the way the Turnitin settings are in this class, the assignment Turnitin is oftentimes a lot higher. But don't worry about the assignment Turnitin score. It's the draft score, and I will be looking at that. So remember, it's the Turnitin draft score that we are looking at. Now, in general, a higher Turnitin score Turnitin draft score can mean that your content is not original. So what I usually tell you, and I'll leave this on your Turnitin score, review the article for the same words or same sentences, and then make sure you're not using a previous student's paper. Because I can see all that. I can see it in, and you can too. You can see if you click on the Turnitin score, it'll tell you why it's high. And what students will tell me is, Dr. Balls, I don't even know anybody in this class, much less somebody in another class. But that is because maybe you're using something on the internet or you're copying word for word, and maybe they did. So make sure you're not copying word for word. A little bit more about Turnitin, hold on, is after you revise the paper, resubmit it to Turnitin. If the now in general, if the paper is submitted with a high Turnitin score, a draft Turnitin score greater than 25%, a detailed review is required. And if it remains high, this will be sent to the Office of Academic Integrity. You do not want that to happen. I don't know why this is so. So the goal for the Turnitin draft score is less than 25%. So remember, oftentimes when the paper is submitted to the assignments, the draft score is higher, but it is the draft Turnitin score that is the number that counts. If you have any questions, I will remind you of that because I have to keep an eye on it as well, like you. So the other way that we earn points in this class is we have some mind maps. This you can use as a study guide for that disease process. Now remember, this is only worth 10% of your grade. We'll start having mind maps in weeks 3 and 7 and 9. I have seen that the students put a lot of energy into this, and I want you to get a good grade. It does require some information, but remember, this is only 10% of your grade. It's the exams that count. So on the assignment learning resources and media resources, we have a lot of different template options. Be sure and look at the learning resources. What I have seen is that a lot of students like using this Mind Mister. It is a great IT tool, and it looks like you can just enter the information. It kind of puts it into a category of pathophysiology. You enter a bunch of stuff, and it just kind of makes a nice little mind map. But unfortunately, it has a fee. Now, if it was me as a student, I would take it to mean, okay, if this is going to help me earn my grade, I'm going to pay the fee. But on the other side, Dr. Baltz is real chintzy. So I may not want to pay that extra fee because I'm already paying so much to go to school. There is Canva if you're used to using that. And then I have a little mind map option that I created to make it a little bit easier. And this is it. And I have attached it to week 3 announcements. You'll see it in week 7 and 9 to make it easy for you. But part of the mind map is that things have to connect. These lines have to be connecting here, and you can see that. And you have to have in-text citations. And so you have to have that, and you have to have 2 articles, but it has a place for you to put your references on the attachment. You'll see that in week 3. So you can use this as well. These little boxes here, the more you type, it'll resize the font. It'll make it easier. So I want to thank you for listening to this welcome video. And remember, this is pathophysiology. So in this class, you're going to take a deep dive into the why behind many, many disease processes. And this will help you to make the diagnosis and to provide a good treatment plan and to focus on patient-centered care. I am happy to be working with you this quarter. Reach out to me if you have any questions. We're going to have a great quarter. Bye-bye.